Margo.
Mira este árbol.
Mira los pollitos. Te dan un pollito.
¡Ay, pollito!
Abundan las gallinitas aquí.
Mira este arbolito.
A saber qué árbol será. Pero la hoja es bien.
Es bien bonita, me gusta el color.
Está bonito. Ahí se ve que quizás se cayó un árbol, mira, y lo cortaron. Mira los pollitos. Cada ladrillo está marcado con un nombre, ¿verdad?
But they have downsized quite a bit over the years. 3 blocks in, on the right, you'll find the Harry Truman Little White House. President Harry Truman loved Key West. He spent 175 working days while he was president right here. He established the Little White House. The studio gates on my right, these are the presidential gates. They're only opened up for U.S. presidents, built in 1906. First opened to William Howard Taft, 1912. Later on, John F. Kennedy, 1961, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. They were last opened for former President Jimmy Carter in 1997. Biggest tree in Key West. That is a banyan tree, but it's not native to Key West. It was planted here over 150 years ago by a Russian captain's wife. This is Cosgrove. I know it's not trees in Key West up there. Most of the trees you see around you are not native. Most of it brought here over the years and planted here. This was a rocky little island when it was discovered in 1513. He was immediately arrested by the Castro government and thrown in jail. Of course, as soon as they found out he was a politician, they gave him right back to us. And look at the sign coming up in our right on the opposite corner. Begin 1 north, mile 0. This is mile marker 0, US 1, the very beginning of US 1. This road goes all the way up the eastern seaboard ahead of us, all the way to Fort Kent, Maine, 2,209 miles north. This is the very beginning of US 1 right here. Coming up in our right, Jackson Square, our courthouse complex. Coming up in the middle of Jackson Square, the Monroe County Courthouse, built in 1890. Still the seat of Monroe County government. Monroe County is all of Florida Keys. Key Largo all the way here to Key West. Here's the Monroe County Courthouse on my right. But right here, US 1 is Whitehead Street, named for John Whitehead. We survived a shipwreck in our coral reef in 1818. They brought him up here to Key West to recover, and he liked it here. He brought his brother down from New York State, who was a land surveyor. And he mapped out many of the roads we still drive on today. Whitehead Street, one along right now, is the oldest north-south road in Key West, all the way from the Gulf of Mexico to the Atlantic Ocean. Built in 1820 by the U.S. Navy, on richly paved with red bricks. Coming up on our left, opposite corner, one of the oldest bars in Key West, the green parrot, big white wooden church. Going to be the Cornish A&E Zion Church, built in 1865. It was our first African congregation here in Key West. And it was built by Sandy Cornish, who was a freed Maryland slave. Sandy Cornish wanted freedom in Maryland. He came to Key West, he had a 9-acre farm here. He grew stuff on that farm that nobody thought was growing in Key West. Pineapples, grapes, Arizona, Cheyenne. On my right, the Cornish A&E Zion Church, 1865. Sandy Cornish, that freed Maryland slave, became very wealthy and very respected here in Key West because of what he grew on that farm. Come to Key West to rest in salvage industry. They formed their own little enclave of Bahamian culture, still called Bahama Village. On my right, the Bahama Village Market. They brought something with them called steel drum music. They actually helped to invent a musical instrument. They had all the oil drums that the U.S. Navy left all over the Caribbean during the World War. We still have a steel drum music school right here in Bahama Village. Steel drum music. Hemingway House. Ernest Hemingway and his second wife Pauline lived here for 10 years, starting in 1931. While Hemingway was living there, he was really productive. He wrote To Have and Have Not, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Death in the Afternoon, Snows in Kilimanjaro, and all kinds of short stories. But now look to our right and way up high, Key West Lighthouse, built on this night, 1847. The original Key West Lighthouse in its front of us about 4 blocks. It was destroyed by a terrible hurricane back in 1846, knocked the original Key West Lighthouse down. Killing the lighthouse keeper and his family, took refuge in it, not knowing how strong that hurricane was. The following year, the lighthouse was rebuilt on this site farther inland. This was an operation called the Key West. Going directly on my right, it's also a great museum at the lighthouse first quarter. All about life here in Key West in the mid-1800s. Now we're in a good part of Key West called Cayó Village. In a few minutes, I'm going to tell you about our cigar industry here. At one point, we had 160 cigar factories here in Key West, with Cubans working inside of them. The man who owned the largest cigar factory here, Eduardo Gatto, built the area we're in right now for his 500 Cuban cigar factory workers and their families. Cayó Village. It was called a city within a city. Because Cayó Village had its own school, its own grocery store, its own churches, barbershops, saloons. Cayó Village was a city within a city. It was an enclave of Cuban culture here in Key West. And the U.S. Navy has always been a big, big part of Key West. Key West was a Union stronghold in the South during the Civil War. U.S. Navy stayed right here. Civil War, Spanish-American War, both World Wars, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm. U.S. Navy has always been a big, big part of Key West. Active operating Navy bases right here on this little island. On our right is Truman Annex Naval Air Station. Key West sits on the northern edge of the Caribbean basin, a very strategic location. With this base on our right, the U.S. Navy is watching and listening to everything going on down there in the Caribbean, from Cuban migrants to drug smugglers. And just 7 miles to the north of Key West, we have the Boca Chica Naval Air Station. It has the longest runway this side of Homestead Air Force Base up on the mainland. The runway is almost 3 miles long. Every pilot in our Atlantic fleet that lands on aircraft carriers at some point comes to Boca Chica to train and qualify to do that. We have one of the largest naval aviation training centers on the eastern seaboard at Boca Chica. Coming up in front of us, Southernmost Monument. Southernmost point, the continental United States, 90 miles from Cuba right here. Key West is the southernmost city. We love everything southernmost. On my right, the southernmost illegally parked cars. All these people up here, they're southernmost tourists. As you turn the corner here, look out the ocean. You'll notice there are no waves rolling in. In a few minutes, I will tell you why Key West doesn't have any surf. The Brown House, coming up on our right, built in 1941 by Thelma Strable. She was an author who wrote a novel called Reach the Wild Wind about wrecking and salvage here in Key West. Later made into a movie with John Wayne. He was the bad guy in that movie. Now was Mabel wanted to buy the house, but she couldn't. She built this house on her right instead, 18 inches farther south than the original. There's a plaque on the wall behind these people on my right. That's what Selma Strable called her house. It's not the southernmost house. It's the southernmost house. It's 18 inches farther south than the original. The original southernmost house coming up in our right on the corner. Built in 1996 on my right. Original southernmost house. The only example in Key West we have Victorian architecture, and Thomas Edison installed the electric in the original southernmost house on our right. On our left, though, on the corner, that's the Eduardo Gatto Jr. house, and it hasn't always stood right there. They used to stand across the street on the opposite corner, where a little parking lot is now. Eduardo Gatto Jr. did not like the way the sun hit his veranda in the morning when he was reading his newspaper, so he picked his house up a little bit. He had it towed across the street and rotated 90 degrees. To this day, the Eduardo Gatto Jr. house on your left, that's the only odd-numbered house on the even side of the street. Now on our left, the Butterfly Conservatory. You can walk through there. There's 1,200 butterflies fluttering and flying around you, 200 varieties. They say if one lands on you, you'll have good luck the rest of the day. And it's Powerball Saturday. Consider the possibility. But our cigar industry here in Key West is a big part of Key West history. In 1831, an Englishman showed up in Key West with a boatload of tobacco. A man named William Wall jump-started our cigar industry here in Key West. By the end of the 1800s, the population of Key West was 20,000. But 1/3 of that was Cuban cigar factory workers, working at 160 cigar factories right here in Key West. They were producing 100 million handmade, world-famous cigars every year. With large Cuban population is the reason that a man named Jose Marti came here often to speak in favor of Cuba's independence from Spain. After the 1800s, Cuba was just a colony of Spain. Jose Marti, the Cuban angel of freedom, desperately wanted Cuba to gain its independence. Jose Marti would speak this terrace on my right, behind the first round of way of life, big terrace where he speaks from. I've been in Key West a long time. I've been quite a few drinks at a little bar, right? It's a great restaurant, too. Never knew until I got this job. The name of that place, Cayó, that's just an abbreviation for La Terraza de Marti, or Marti's Terrace. He was a passionate, powerful speaker in favor of independence for Cuba. Okay, so we've just passed the southernmost point at the Butterfly Conservatory. Now we're going to pull to our first station. Once we pull into the station, once we get off the road, you can hop off the train. Walk the 4 blocks behind us, southernmost point, Butterfly Conservatory, 1 block left, traffic light right here, Hemingway House and the Lighthouse. Very central location. Again, we're going to pull in. Please keep your seat until we get inside the station. Again, there's only one train following me today. The last train through the station on my right, exactly 30 minutes. Last train through